Before you took your first, before your heartbeat echoed in your mother's womb, before your eyes ever beheld light, God had already written your story. There was a scroll in heaven with your name on it. Not a scroll of wishes, but of works. Not a scroll of potential, but of purpose. You were born with destiny burning in your bones. And yet many walk through life unaware of the assignment they carry. They wander not because they are lost, but because they never realized they were sent. You were not placed on this earth just to exist. You were placed here to reveal, to build, to tear down strongholds, to light fires in dark places. You were sent by the King to fulfill a portion of heaven's plan that only you can complete. You are not a product of your environment. You are an ambassador from another kingdom. The unfolding scroll, the scroll of your life, has chapters yet to be lived, pages yet to be written, but heaven waits for you to pick up the pen. Not the pen of ink, but of faith. Not the pen of imagination, but of obedience. For the greatest enemy of your calling is not your past. It's your hesitation. There is a time to rest and a time to rise. And heaven says, this is the time to rise. The gates are opening. The seals are breaking. The time is accelerating. And the call that once whispered now roars. Do you hear it? There is no time for delay. What you do now will echo in eternity. The scroll is moving, and it calls for action. Not tomorrow, not next year. Now, awake in the ancient fire. There is a fire that once burned in the bones of the prophets, the apostles, the warriors of old. That fire is not dead. It lives. It sleeps inside you, waiting to be awakened. That fire is not of man. It is of God. It cannot be put out by disappointment. It cannot be quenched by delay. It cannot be suffocated by fear. The fire inside you is older than the world. It is eternal. It is prophetic. It is holy. But the world has tried to cover it with comfort. The enemy has tried to smother it with distraction. The system has tried to redefine it as ambition. But God says, I did not call you to blend in. I called you to burn. You must awaken the ancient fire. It is the fire that caused Moses to turn aside at the burning bush. It is the fire that consumed Elijah's altar on Mount Carmel. It is the fire that lit tongues at Pentecost. It is the fire that must now burn in you. Break the chains of the ordinary. You were never created for ordinary. You were never meant to live on autopilot. You are not an echo of culture. You are a voice from heaven. You carry revelation. You carry prophetic identity. You carry answers to prayers others even prayed yet. But you must break the chains. Chains of fear, chains of approval, addiction, chains of comfort, chains of delay, chains of regret. Every time you compromise with fear, you forfeit a piece of your scroll. Every time you bow to convenience, you abandon a battle you were meant to win. Every time you lower your voice, someone else misses the sound of freedom that was meant to come through you. Jonathan Cahn would say, this is not the hour to be polite with darkness. This is the hour to confront it with fire. You are a harbinger. You are not merely a believer. You are a harbinger, a sign, a message wrapped in skin. Your very existence is a statement against the darkness. Your life is a contradiction to the patterns of this world. You are the evidence that light still shines in the shadows. But harbingers don't live soft lives. They are not afraid to speak truth in a generation that trades it for popularity. They are not afraid to stand alone because they walk with the King. You are not here to chase what the world calls success. You are here to fulfill what heaven calls obedience. For in the kingdom, the smallest step in faith is greater than the greatest platform without it. You carry the sound of deliverance. There is a sound that has been entrusted to your voice, not just to speak, but to release, to break chains, to shift atmospheres, to awaken others. When you speak in faith, demons tremble. When you sing in surrender, walls fall. When you declare the word, the sword of the Spirit is unsheathed. But too many have silenced themselves. They've buried their sound in fear. They've chosen peace with the crowd over purpose with the King. But heaven says, open your mouth again. Let the sound rise. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs your voice. Prepare for the greater glory. The battles you face are not punishments. They are preparation. Every delay is deepening your roots. Every setback is sharpening your sword. Every valley is forging your armor. Why? Because you are being prepared for the glory that is coming. You are not just walking toward revival. You are carrying it. Do not ask God just to move around you. Ask Him to move through you. You are the answer to the cry of this generation. You are the fulfillment of someone else's prayers. You are the bridge between despair and deliverance. But it requires your yes. Not a loud yes, but a surrendered one. This is the hour of returning. Jonathan Cahn often speaks of return, of teshuvah. And now the Spirit calls His people to return. Not just in posture, but in purpose. Return to the reason you were born. Return to the assignment you once knew but buried. Return to the fire that once consumed your heart. This is the hour of returning. Return to the secret place. Return to the word. Return to the mission. Return to the presence. Return to your first love. Heaven is not calling for celebrity Christians. Heaven is calling for surrendered vessels. Heaven is not moved by numbers. It is moved by obedience. There comes a moment in every life where the mantle falls, not in glory, but in silence. It doesn't come with applause. It doesn't come with titles. It comes when heaven says, "And now," and that "and now" has come upon you. The mantle has fallen, not on the strongest, not on the loudest, but on the willing. The humble, the unseen, the surrendered. You didn't ask for it. You didn't run after it. But it has found you. Just like Elisha, plowing behind 12 yokes of oxen, forgotten by the world, but chosen by God. The prophet came and dropped the mantle on his shoulders. No words, no explanation, just a mantle. And in that moment, everything changed. So now, heaven has placed something on you, and you must decide. Will you return to the field, or will you burn the plow? Will you stay in the familiar, or will you follow the fire? Jonathan Cahn reminds us, the call of God will disrupt your plans. It will break your routine. It will interrupt your comfort, but it will ignite your destiny. Let go of the plow. The plow represents everything that makes sense. The comfort zone, the plan B, the fallback option. But when God drops a mantle on your life, He doesn't just invite you into new beginnings. He invites you to close old chapters. Let go of the plow. Let go of the fear that says, "What if I fail?" Let go of the voice that whispers, "You're not ready." Let go of the labels others have put on you. Let go of the timeline you thought your life would follow. The plow is heavy. It keeps you grounded, but you were born to soar. Elisha burned the plow and fed the people with it. He turned his past into provision for others, and so must you. Take what you're leaving behind and let it feed others. Turn your story into strength, your pain into power, your wounds into wisdom. You are not called to live safe. There's nothing safe about obedience. Obedience costs. Obedience risks. Obedience wounds your pride and exposes your soul. But it also opens gates. It releases heaven. It aligns you with eternity. You were not called to live safe. You were called to live surrendered. Safe people don't change the world. Safe people don't part the seas. Safe people don't raise the dead. It's the surrendered who step out of boats, walk into lions' dens, and face giants without armor. Jonathan Cahn says, "We are not called to survive Babylon. We are called to defy it." You were born into a war, not a retreat. A divine conflict between light and darkness, truth and deception, eternity and flesh. You were not made for neutrality. You were made to occupy until He comes. You carry the kingdom. The kingdom of God is not something you visit on Sundays. It is something you carry every moment. It is not a distant theology. It is a present force. It lives in you. It breathes through you. It speaks through your voice, moves through your hands, and shines through your eyes. You carry the kingdom when you forgive. You carry it when you refuse to lie. You carry it when you love the unlovable. You carry it when you stand for truth in a room full of compromise. You are not a spectator. You are an ambassador. You are not waiting for heaven. Heaven is waiting for you. Wherever you walk, heaven wants to walk. Whatever you say, heaven wants to speak, but it cannot move through a closed vessel. Open your life again. Open your heart again. Heaven doesn't need your perfection. It needs your permission. The oil flows in empty vessels. The widow came to Elisha desperate and broken. She had nothing left, just a small jar of oil. And the prophet said, "I'll borrow empty vessels, not a few." Not fancy vessels, not polished vessels, just empty ones. Why? Because the oil only flows where there is emptiness. If your life is filled with distractions, there's no room for oil. If your life is filled with pride, there's no room for glory. If your life is filled with your plans, your image, your reputation, your control, then you are full, but not of him. The miracle didn't depend on the widow's oil. It depended on the space she was willing to make. God doesn't use the most qualified. He uses the most empty. Jonathan Cahn teaches, the less of you there is, the more room there is for God. Empty yourself. Pour out your fear. Pour out your shame. Pour out your expectations. Let your vessel be light enough to carry fire. You are heaven's strategy. Heaven does not send revival randomly. It sends revival strategically. And you are part of that strategy. You are not on earth during this hour by coincidence. You were assigned here, planted here, released here, like an arrow drawn in the bow of eternity, launched into time with a mission. You are the answer to someone else's desperation. You are the encounter someone else is praying for. You are the voice crying out in the wilderness of your generation. But if the arrow stays in the quiver, it never fulfills its purpose. You were not made to stay hidden. You were not made to be comfortable. You were made to pierce darkness. Jonathan Cahn would say, the hand of the Almighty has drawn back the bow, and you are the arrow. Do not resist the tension. It is aiming you. The field is ready, but the watchman must speak. The harvest is ready. The ground has been crying out. The soil of this generation is ripe. But where are the laborers? Where are the voices? Where are the watchmen who still cry from the wall? You were not born to be a bystander. You are the watchman. Your eyes are open not to criticize, but to warn. Your voice was not given to gossip, but to proclaim. Cry out, not with volume, but with truth. Not with pride, but with passion. Not with fear, but with fire. If you remain silent, the stones will cry out. If you remain silent, darkness will speak louder. If you remain silent, the next generation will not know the sound of righteousness. This is the hour for the watchman to speak. You will not be moved, you will be tested. You will be pressed, you will be misunderstood, but you will not be moved. Why? Because your foundation is not the approval of people. It is the promise of God. Because your security is not in systems. It is in His sovereignty. The wind may blow, the storm may rage, but you will still be standing because you do not walk by sight. You walk by truth, and truth cannot be shaken. So dig deep, anchor yourself, and declare it over your life. I will not be silenced. I will not retreat. I will not negotiate with compromise. I will not bow to fear. I will not let my generation pass without sounding the alarm.